online as well. It's raining outside, so you've made a good decision. Are there any apologies?
None received, Chair.
Thank you. Minutes of the previous meeting on page 5 and 6 of our agendas. Anything on page 5? Page 6? Are you happy that I send them as a record of the meeting? Thank you very much.
Just a quick show of hands, Chair.
Oh, could you show your hands, please? Thank you. Any declarations of interest? We have no public questions as far as I'm aware. Do we have any member questions?
No questions of any type, Chair.
That's very good. Item 17 on the agenda then, update on Councillor Code of Conduct.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So just very briefly to introduce this, if I just give you the headline. So if I talk first about this current year, 24-25, you'll see in the report, it's on page 10, but it sets out the details of the 4 complaints that we've had this year. What I would say is, without wanting to tempt fate, that over halfway through the year, I think we're in a pretty good position compared to previous years, a low number of complaints overall. Just taking you to page 10, you'll see out of those 4 complaints that 3 of them were found to be no breach, but the town and parish one, which was received on the 27th of April, there is a finding of a breach there, and the town parish council concerned will be receiving a decision notice at their next full council meeting, which will provide further details of the complaint, and that'll be that public statement in the decision notice. So those are the 4 from this current year. If I just move us to page 11. That shows the historic complaints that we've just been seeking to resolve since the last meeting. So we've just got, as you see on page 11 now, we've just got 2 outstanding complaints, and they're WBC 18 and WBC 17. If I start with WBC 18, so we've had an independent investigation conducted by one of the legal team into that case. There is some evidence that there may have been a breach of the code of conduct. So in these circumstances, and these are quite rare, we will move to a hearings panel, and Neil is currently looking to arrange that for the second half of November, and that'll then be an opportunity for the members from the Standards Committee who sit on that hearings panel to hear both sides of the argument, if you like, in terms of the subject member's response to the complaint and the investigating officer's report. So that's just being organised. The other one, WBC 17, so again, similar sort of situation in that it's been through an independent investigation. The investigator is just waiting for some final information back now from the subject member. And subject to the conclusion that the investigator reached, either there'll be no evidence of a breach in that case, or there may be evidence, in which case that would go on to a hearings panel as well. So whilst it's slightly disappointing that we've still got those outstanding, we are getting there. We've moved forward since your last meeting back in July. That was all I wanted to say, Chair, by means of introduction, but happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, the question was just relating to just for subject members, the ones that do have, just good to get an idea of what the process is when a complaint is raised and what happens. You know, did the subject member get informed? Is there like an SLA or pros? Just maybe an overview what that process looks like.
Yeah, so just in terms of the process, so very quickly after I've received the complaint, I will be in touch with the subject member to advise them that a complaint's been received, and they get an initial opportunity, should they choose to take it, to make an initial response in terms of anything that they want to put forward as part of that initial consideration. Very quickly, I will then produce what's called an initial monitoring officer report, which I will consult the independent person on. And it's at that stage where there's various sort of conclusions that might be reached. It might be so obviously evident that there isn't a breach of the code, in which case it would go no further. It may be that just from that initial look at it, we need to commission a fuller investigation like we have done with those two that I've just referred to. In that case, the subject member would be interviewed as part of that investigation process. So that there's at least those sort of two steps where the subject member can get involved. And if it does go to that final stage of a hearings panel, then the subject member will be at the hearings panel itself.
Thanks, Andrew.
Sorry, Sally, you got your hand up. Would you like to speak now?
Thank you.
You're
I'm
on
curious.
mute.
Can you hear me at all?
You're on mute, Sally.
I have unmuted.
Can you hear me on this microphone?
No, we can't hear you.
I can hear you online, Sally.
Sally, you might be better off leaving and coming back again. Or you could take your headset off and use whatever's on your laptop, if it's the microphone.
I think
Can I ask members if you can hear me online?
Rebecca, we can't hear you either.
Yeah,
Andrew,
there
where
we go.
do we do the settings?
Shall we have a little technical? Shall we have a technical pause for a minute? Hold on. Can you guys hear me through this?
They don't have access to some teams.
Yes, I can hear you.
Let me turn the
We
volume
can
up
hear
on
you.
this. We might be able to hear you now. Do you want to just try speaking, Sally? No. What the hell's happened?
Yeah.
So, Sally, I
Yep.
understand that your question was about town and parish decision notices and whether they'd be published on the WBC website as well. The short answer is yes, it will be.
Thank you.
I can hear Sally on this.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can all hear each other online, Imogen. None of
I
you
can hear you on
any of
this,
us.
yeah. I've turned your volume up on here so we can sort of hear you through my laptop, but yeah.
Thank you. Can you thank Andrew for that answer?
She says thank you, Andrew. I think you've heard that. Yeah, they can hear you through my laptop at the moment. So. You need to turn your microphone on. The light's not coming on.
So, oh, Jackie, can you hear us? Okay, I'm going to turn my mic off, and if you could ask your question.
Yes, I can hear you.
Good.
Good. Would you like to ask your question?
I didn't have a question.
Oh, sorry. Rebecca, would you like to ask your question?
I didn't have one either. It was just I was trying to ascertain that it was we could hear Sally and no one else could. So I don't have a question.
Sorry, I
I
just
can't hear
realised
any.
I think the David Hicks is muted. We've not heard anything since Beth asked if Jackie and Rebecca had a question.
David, can you turn your microphone on?
Where's the control?
It's that thing in the corner over there.
You can hear through Imogen's speaker.
You can hear me. You can probably hear it through my laptop. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They've gone over there to fiddle with it, it looks like. Nagy, can you get to the PC with the 3 script displays on and check if it's muted over there? I'm assuming you're familiar with it.
Thank you.
Can you hear it now?
Hello?
Yes. Yeah, I can hear now.
I'll give it another go now then. So yeah,
Meeting Imogen appears to, oh, there we go, sorry. That's it.
Yeah. You can still hear me online? Yeah, good. So currently a root and branch review of the Constitution is taking place, and that will be reported, the results of that to full council in January next year. What you've got in front of you tonight is what are some very minor amendments to the Councillor Code of Conduct that CRWG, the Constitution Review Working Group, looked at back in September. As I say, they're very minor changes. The one thing that I just wanted to bring to your attention, if I refer to page 17 in the report, there is a link in the 3rd paragraph from the bottom of that page, which is a link to some LGA guidance on digital citizenship. And that, or a shorter version, a simpler version of that, used to be in the LGA model code. And the LGA have updated the model code now, removed the appendix, which used to be there, and have put this link in now to much more detailed guidance around the use of social media. And as the committee knows through your review of the type of complaints that we've had, social media is one of those areas that does generate a lot of complaints. So what the LGA are doing, I guess, is just giving further guidance to councillors through this update to the code. That's probably that is the main change, just to bring to your attention. But it's only right that as the Standards Committee, you've got the opportunity before this goes on to full council to make any other comments on the code of conduct before we move it forwards. And I understand in the paperwork the link didn't work. So for those in the room, we've got hard copies to that guidance tonight, but we'll make sure for those of you online that guidance gets circulated as well. That was it, Chair, in terms of the intro.
Do we have any questions?
In my case, it's not so much of a question, it's just that I chair the Constitution Review Working Group and I'm sort of, yeah, just making sure that you know where I am. Okay, thanks.
Really, to add a comment on page 18 where you're listing where a councillor is harassed. Back in the early part of this year, I was hacked online and I was threatened with whatever. And I reported it to Action Fraud. I just wonder, we say you got report the conversation, whether we should put Action Fraud in there as well. You got a line where you say we're being a problem, you can report them to social media provider, police, or there's Action Fraud. I just wonder if we could put that in there as well.
I'd be happy to add that in there. I think that would be helpful.
If I could just comment that Action Fraud only record it, they don't take any action.
So can I just add, but it was also, they said they add it to a list and they talked me through if I had any emotional problems, because it was pretty unpleasant. So I think it was important that they were there, that you reported it and they talked you through how to not let it happen again. So thank you.
Thank you. Andrew, are we approving this? Oh, have you got your hand up, Sally?
I was just wondering, there's given we're linking to an LGA publication, they've actually got a really good page for councillors about handling abuse, harassment and intimidation. I've put that link in the chat and I'm happy to send it to Neil and Andrew. But I would just wonder if it's worth referencing that as well, because actually it's got some really good advice in there and quite a substantial amount of it.
Andrew says yes.
Thank you.
Okay, any more? Do we have to approve this? No, consider changes. Everyone happy? Okay, Andrew, it's you again. Item 19, the appointment of an independent person.
Hi, right. So I think it's fairly straightforward. As you're aware, we have had 3 independent persons in the past. For various reasons, we're down to 1. So just to bring a bit of security into the system in case that person is unwell or unavailable, we're just seeking to recruit another couple of independent persons to bring us back to 3. So the report sets out the sort of profile of the persons we're looking for. And then it's just here in case members have any thoughts about what we might put in the advert or what the job profile is, and any thoughts on the process for carrying out the recruitment. Happy to answer questions, Chair.
Thank you. Sheena.
I think the description of the role is clear. I just wondered if it needed an additional point about encouraging nominations or applicants from women and ethnic minority groups, just to make sure that you've got a diversity angle covered.
Yep, we can do that, certainly.
Any more questions? Sam.
Yeah, my question was more just around, obviously they need to be independent, so not a part of any, party or anything like that. Is there a way that you sort of, is there a way that that's referenced or any background done to make sure that they are truly independent? Just more of out of interest to see if there's a way you do that.
Yeah, so I think the report sets out the issues which would bar somebody from being recruited into the role. And then we would do a recruitment process, which would be the submission of an application form and then an interview process where we would test the various points we've set out in the report.
Any more questions? Gina?
In the final selection, I think one of the things that might be worth considering is making sure that you've got a spread of capability, competence and skills rather than two people who might be kind of equal weight, so that you strengthen the independent group altogether.
Yep, that's a good suggestion. So we'll look to include that.
Sally, over to you.
Thank you. I know I feel like I've been banging this drum since we had 3 independent persons. I would very much appreciate there being really strong gender, not just gender, diversity in general in the interview panel and as well as the candidates if possible. Obviously, we wouldn't do any bias when it comes to selecting somebody, but I'd really love for us to maybe do a bit of positive advertising to some of our minority communities, including women who are actually usually a minority, but might as well be. On that note, it is something I do, or I'm aware of in my job, that when you're recruiting for somebody, masculine coded words tend to put off female applicants, whereas feminine coded words don't put off masculine applicants. I can send you a free online tool called the Gender Decoder, which flags a lot of those. I think it's really worth running both the job description and the role through that, because it's currently flagging that there are a lot of masculine coded words. Like, it's very much balanced that way. And while some of them are obviously not changeable, it might be worth just looking to see if there's a way we can fine tune it slightly to perhaps not put off female applicants. I'm sure that there is, probably other similar tools for other biases, but this is the only one I'm actively aware of. Would that be okay?
Andrew says yes. Thank you, Sally.
No worries. Thank you.
Any more? Okay, are we happy to agree that this process goes ahead now? And as soon as possible, we get a proper panel in place. Well, that was fun, wasn't it? Thank you everyone for coming. I hope it's stopped raining now, and perhaps the party's still going on outside.
Are you going to join it?
Don't know. Yeah. Thank you everyone. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for attending online.
you.
Nice
Good
to see you. Bye.
Bye.
Good night.